Good morning, Vietnam, and welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast where we analyze, we scrutinize, we celebrate the rise of Skywalker 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
And I'm Asterios Kokkinos, podcaster from The Loudest Podcast.
Welcome back, Asterios.
Thank you for having
me. We had Thaxton last week. Now we have another old timer. Not old, but, returning timer.
It's nice to be invited back.
I have a question.
Of course.
Do you ever feel like, are you facing competition as The Loudest Podcast goes on? Are people trying to out loud you?
There are a couple of people who have challenged me to like fights where we would go out in a field and see who could yell the loudest. And we would have like a decibel meter or something. But then at the last second, they always chicken out, let's say. It never comes together. I will out loud anybody. Oh, God, I'm already screaming at your listeners. I forgot. This is supposed to be like a nice, calm, like afternoon snack of a podcast.
It's the mellowest podcast.
Yeah. But,
now, people do listen to it in the morning, so it's a good wake up. You know, maybe they won't need their Starbucks this morning. But it would be interesting to see. I did accidentally leave. I put Radkey way too loud in the mix early on this season, so people complained about that. So we'll see what they say about the mix now. So
good luck, Godspeed.
You're gonna need it. Well, we're talking about minute 91, of course. What else would it be except minute 91? Minute 191 starts off with Poe confessing that he needs Finn, and it ends a minute later with Rey staring goggle-eyed when she sees a hand emerge from the burning wreckage of Kylo Ren's TIE Whisper, and praying that someone hadn't been stowed away when she used forced fire to light it on fire.
Would you, if she just started a fire, even though there's lots of other stuff, burnable stuff, obviously around, right? So when she's burning this, would you say that is a careless whisper?
Would you answer the question?
I just thought of it now when you said that, and I'm kind of, if I had thought about that in the notes process, probably wouldn't have made it to air, but.
I thought you were going to go with we didn't start the fire joke, so
right?
I was so thrown off by the George Michael
it's the old
breath.
Billy Joel bluff.
I want to talk about, do you guys think it's possible to light like a TIE fighter on fire like a campfire? She straight up like is campfiring this thing. She's like throwing logs onto. Is this thing mostly made of like outer space metal? What are your boys' thoughts on this?
It does seem unusual that it would be burning, and I don't think she. I'm wondering what the origin. Who did start the fire? I want to see this fire begin. I want to see the fire begins. Minute 91, episode 1. The fire begins. Because
it's the prequel to the Billy Joel song.
Yeah. Wait. Look, hang on. Let's ponder that for a second, because let's back up and talk about we got the bromance minutes to talk about first.
You're right.
Okay. Yeah.
And I miss this. They've had and I guess it's supposed to be, their arc in this or something like that, where they were kind of, trying to one up each other, and they were being kind of, jealous and annoying, kind of, I don't know. And now they're just like, hey, I need your help. We need to do this together. And I feel like they shouldn't have had this. They shouldn't have had them be kind of on each other's case at all in this, because it wasn't strong enough to make it, wasn't strong enough to be interesting. And then once they get back together, I'm like, oh yeah, I like them together as part of this. Like, we had that at the beginning, and I like them. I like their little thing with the general. Like, I like them better together than kind of trying to manufacture some kind of like rivalry scenario.
I thought this was weird, because I never really picked up on any particular rivalry story between the two of them. Like, there was some, chops busting, but that's that's everyone in the MCU movie verse. You know what I mean? That's how everyone communicates, is by snarky comments. And so this whole like, you know what, I want you on my team is like a weird, like, did anyone doubt that Finn was going to be involved in the, like, oh, Finn, you stay here, we're going to go do it. I just think it's a strange beat.
Well, I mean, he was definitely on the team, but now he's saying like, I need you to lead with me. I need you to be a general. Because remember, they had this thing for a little bit with like, oh, what were you going to tell me? You're going to tell Rey when I wasn't here. And it was like this little bit of cattiness that was like I said, I agree, not enough to be interesting. And so it shouldn't have been in there at all. They should have just been together.
Well, it was like, I remember that, you know, there being a thing where it was like, they were trying to set up a misdirect where you thought that there was like a love triangle, kind of like the Han, Luke, Leia love triangle from the, you know, the first part of Empire. And yeah, I mean, and then it turns out, oh, that was a misdirect. What he wanted to talk about was his Jedi heritage. And then, of course, that raised the question, why is this a secret? Like, why can't you tell your two best friends who you like saved the galaxy with like 2 movies ago? And then also it's like the Resistance is like 41 people now. Like we saw how many, it's like if the Millennium Falcon can fit the entire Resistance, then it's like you're kind of do you have bigger problems than like this little like will they or won't they? And then by the way, at the end they won't. So it's kind of like, oh well, we went nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, really, it's like
love triangle was more just a love dot with no connecting to any other, no geometric shapes formed by that.
Well, especially because it's like, well, then they say it's like, all right, but then they set her up with Felicity, or him up with, and then it's like, oh, but then the handsome guy wants Felicity, and so it's like, well, then what were we doing at all here?
I agree that this is the whole thing was unnecessary. They should have just been on the same page, and this could have been a moment where it's like they're doing their own things and then they collaborate. They each have a piece of the puzzle. They put it together.
I mean, I think that it smacks of we're looking for something for these characters to do. And I think that, like, you know, a quicker way in would just be that they're a one-upsmanship kind of thing. Because, like, that's what Luke and Han had. It was like, I owe you one. I owe you 2. Now you owe me 1. It's like, you know, they kept trading debts from all the times they almost died near each other. Yeah. And
well, that's Han's thing. Han is into keeping track of who owes who regarding saving each other's life, as Chewbacca can attest. So it's very important to him.
But then sometimes, he forgets.
But when it comes to paying back his debt, he doesn't care. Because he owes a money debt to Jabba that he like kind of fucks off on. But then this life debt, but then it's like, he saved Luke's life a bunch of times. Luke's not following around like his butler. What's up with that?
Do you think he tried to talk him into it? He's like, kid, I saved your life back there.
There's this Corellian thing called life debts.
It's
like he tries to put him into a timeshare, but it's being his friend.
Maybe he did, but then Obi-Wan showed up like, don't fall for it, Luke. You don't understand. It's just a scam. He's just trying to get you.
I do like the return to the original trilogy, not trope exactly, but the gimmick of everyone becoming a general.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, this guy used to be a stormtrooper a year ago. Let's make him a general. Nothing could go wrong with that, right?
No, I like that a lot. I liked it because I like what it's referencing. To be honest, It's like, if you think about it for too long, which as a moviegoer you shouldn't do, but on the Star Wars Minute, that's all we do. It's like,
a curse.
Well, this guy just got demoted last movie, right? He got demoted for saying, let's attack these ships. And then Leia was like, don't attack the ships. And it's like, and now you're making this guy general? And I get it. It's like, there's not many troops left. I guess everyone's a general if there's 40 troops. But I don't know.
There's a couple of people that are still like, oh.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know.
Claude is only a major at this point, so you still listen to everyone else.
I love that there's still those people that are just like, like ensign, whatever, who's just like, what about me? And they're like, no, sorry, hang on, I'll be right back. I gotta go get. I'm thirsty. I'm gonna go to General Water Cooler, but I'll talk to you in a second, Private.
General Babu Frick. What do you guys think? Let's get him on board.
I would follow him to hell and back. Right, it's like the Voyager problem. Remember, because they had to do a whole episode of it where Harry Kim was like, "Can I not be an ensign? I've been an ensign for like 6 years and I've saved the ship a bunch of times." And then like Janeway was like, "Well, if I promote you, I have to promote everybody." And it's like, well, why not promote everybody, Janeway? Make everyone a lieutenant commander at the very. Who cares?
They don't have enough pips. They don't have enough pips to put on everyone's collar, so they can't.
That makes
a pip issue.
It was a pip issue. I think I found the name of the episode.
I had already written down Love Dot, but Pip Issue's pretty good too.
Pretty good. I mean, look, again, just if you want to be pedantic about it, and I always do, it's like
that's why we're here.
When Han and Luke sit down, and they're both, or I think Han and Lando sit down in the briefing, in Mon Mothma's briefing. Briefatorium in Mon Mothma's briefing sphere. Like they're both like, you're a general. You're a general too. And it's kind of like, I don't know why. I buy that just a little bit more. Maybe because those guys are so old. And I feel like they've been doing a shitload of stuff between the movies. Something about this new trilogy, it just feels like all this happened in like a month or two. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Literally. Yeah, I think there's... What's the time? Remember the timeline better than I do, but I think it's only been like a year total from start to finish or something like that, right?
Force Awakens and Last Jedi happen more or less back to back.
Right.
Because Last Jedi starts with them leaving the planet after they blew it up. And then this one, I think, is a year after that.
After the end of Last Jedi.
So Han Solo's been dead about a year. We'll say when his Force Ghost, whatever, Force Phantom, whatever that superpower is.
Wait,
Wait,
you're being specific. Force Phantom is Force Phantom like a phrase on Wikipedia?
No, we don't know what the Leia's force power of making Kylo Ren see a vision of his dad. We don't know where that falls as a. Is it a variation on the Force Ghost thing? Up in the air at this point.
Force enabled memory.
Force
something like that.
Illusion.
I think I had to turn off Force enabled memory in order to get Riverside to run.
Chrome eats the stuff up. It's crazy.
It's wild.
Oh, okay. So they're both generals, and it's like, look, this is another weird thing about fiction that I'm thinking about it, where it's like, I don't know why, but I do care about characters' rank. And it's a Star Trek thing. I remember the episode where, like, Commander Troy had to, like, kill holographic Geordi LaForge to get a promotion. And I remember liking that episode and going, like, I think Troy deserves a promotion. Yeah. Like, I like when Lieutenant Worf became Lieutenant Commander Worf. I liked when Wesley Crusher went from acting ensign to full ensign because a flag officer gave him a field promotion. It's like, I don't know why. I like that stuff. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think one of my favorites was when Fry wakes up in the year 3000 and learns that it's now Admiral Crunch. Same thing.
Yes! Scooty Puff Sr. is better than Scooty Puff Jr. And then in Battlestar Galactica, when Adama gets his Admiral bars, it's like, I don't know why, like, the career path of fictional characters means something to me, but it does. I'm like, I call him Admiral Adama. I don't call him Commander Adama.
It is.
I still call him Ensign Adama.
It's what? From Blood and Chrome?
It's a good, like, it's a nice kind of template-y structure for us to cling to. That it's like, all right, well, we can see. It's almost like a shorthand for character growth, even though they don't necessarily, like, we don't have to put a lot of work into it. We can just be like, well, he's been here a long time, so he's lieutenant now. And it's like, oh, okay, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, it's like we can we can kind of, have it be more obvious that their character is evolving, even if we're not putting the work in behind the scenes. Like, I feel like I mean, one of the things I love this movie, criticisms are aplenty though, and one of the things with the whole trilogy is that we had this great setup with Finn of like, what an interesting background to a character. He's an ex-stormtrooper, and then we went kind of nowhere with it. He just became just kind of like, oh, here's a guy who's in the rebellion and did nothing. Nothing special.
Ray!
Yeah, shouted Ray a lot. And so just making him like, oh, well, now he's a general. It says, it's supposed to be shorthand for like, yep, his character has evolved, but it's more just shorthand for like, well, there's only like a dozen guys in this outfit, so I don't know.
It would be funny if he became general and he's like, well, what does a general do? And then he starts like really being cruel and treating everyone like the way he was treated by generals, as a being forced to be a soldier.
And then Poe kept having to be like, no, wait, we don't do that. No? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh man, it's such a wasted opportunity.
I mean, look, that's the thing. When I think about these movies, I think about how little lasting effect they had, and that is very interesting to me. I remember at one point in the Star Wars Minute Facebook group, things people were arguing, and things got so hot. And I don't know, you could call it politics, you could call it, gender dynamics. Like, what? Things got so hot that it was like there had to be moratoriums on certain topics, and there had to be posts like reinforcing the fact that like we need to be civil to each other. This is like a public space. Let's be civil. And now I'm like, what? We were that angry about like these movies that are like the definition of mid. They're pretty good movies. Like, they've got some great moment. I love that we're talking about these minutes because like the end of this is one of the most memorable moments in the whole, sequel trilogy. But it's like, I don't know. Do you guys agree or disagree that these are they may not have like the staying power or like the lasting effect as some of the other, even the prequels, as some of the other ones?
Yeah. I mean, it's like down the road, I feel like maybe, I don't know. I feel like down the road as things evolve and more Star Wars comes out, like what will we remember about this? I think just the general feeling of The Force Awakens coming out and that excitement people will still be into, but like all this petty squabbling and people being absolute jerks, I think will fade by the way, like, because it will be like, it's like, I remember when we all used to argue about Rocky 3 and everybody would be like, what? Why would you do that? Or like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it's just not to belittle Rocky 3. Sorry, I'm the Rocky Minute guys. So there's a lot to talk about in there, but like, it's not enough to get worked up about, to yell at your friends about. I mean, yell at us in a good way, Asterios.
Yeah, obviously. I like it. It's just like, what the... you say it's like, how did this even inspire conflict? Like, what were the pieces in play? Like, I can't. I don't know, Alex.
Like
I cut you off. Sorry, Alex. What were you gonna say?
No, it's like getting mad at a Denny's Grand Slam breakfast. It's like it's exactly what it's set out to be. It's not like high. It's like fills you up, tastes good. An hour later, it's out of your system. Why would you get angry about that?
Yeah. It's just what you were expecting. Why would it, more or less? You wanted it to change your life?
One thing I think is interesting is that there doesn't seem to be, definitely with the original trilogy, that while these movies were coming out, there was tons of other, like, there were books coming out and comics coming out. And I feel like I haven't really been following the comics too closely, but I don't think, like, the new gang is ever... like the center of the Star Wars series, you know what I mean? Like an ongoing series just about that crew. And so I don't know. Are you guys aware? Maybe even down the road it'll be fleshed out more, and that'll kind of, that seems to be the thing now is they come out with something and then they kind of retroactively fill in stuff like, they added the Clone Wars and all that stuff to the prequels that flesh them out a lot more and give them, so.
Well, I think it's part of the thing. They didn't really leave enough breathing room that they were like, all right, we don't want you to tell any stories that happen after this because we want to leave that for movies.
Right.
And there's no real gaps in between, like unless they do, like take movies that happen in the year between. I mean, comics that can happen in the year between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, maybe, but they didn't really leave them a lot of room to do stuff together.
It's true. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because it's like, the time between Star Wars and Empire, and then the time between Empire and Return of the Jedi, like, it feels long, and it feels like a lot of stuff has changed. Whereas, like, in this... It's kind of like, okay, well, in the Last Jedi, the Resistance is down to like 40 people. And then when this movie starts up again, and it's like, I guess there's a Resistance again, and they've all got ships. And it's like, I guess you could tell the story of the rebuilding of the Resistance, but it's like, do I care about just like returning to the status quo? You know what I mean? It's like... if this movie was about like an even scrappier, if this movie was essentially like, kind of like, what was that? What's that movie? Rogue One, where it's like, all right, we're down to 12 people and we have to stop the Emperor. How the hell are we gonna do that? Like, that's interesting. Like, but so that's not the direction they went, though. But no, I agree with you, Alex, that it's like, it's weird. When I pick up a Marvel Star Wars comic, it has Luke Skywalker in it. And it has, like, Luke Skywalker doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know that really the OT characters are always going to be the coolest ones. Sorry,
aren't
prequel.
bad characters either. They're not
No,
bad
they're not.
characters.
They're not bad characters.
You could do stuff with the scavenger and a guy who feels bad about that he used to be a stormtrooper and this, like, crackerjack Joker man. Like, you could do stuff with these people.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cool new characters, let's talk about Dio being mentioned here. Do you remember Dio, Asterios?
I forgot his name, and when I saw him,
Cone
I was
face.
like,
Cone
right.
face.
Cone
face.
Cone robot who used to be an evil Jedi's buddy. And I don't know. It's kind of like, look, I already like BB-8. Like, you've already convinced me that, like, a little robot is fun. And I also
He's too
like
big and
R2-D2.
ugly, though, BB-8.
I'm sorry.
Then we need something smaller and cuter. That's the thing is,
You really think that?
Even Dio is a little big. I feel like they should really
We should,
shrink it down
when you
more.
get down to like batteries not included, like those little like hamburger-sized
Exactly.
robots. That's perfect.
midichlorian-sized robots.
Now we're
But
talking.
Would I like Dio
Micronauts,
more
that's
as
what
a
we're going
mouse droid? Yes. The idea of a mouse droid turning good is it because you identify mouse droids with pure evil.
Sure.
The scum of the galaxy, the worst of the worst, just running over rebels' toes all the time, and they're going, "Ow, my foot!" Oh, banging into people's shins. The wave of pure terror they unleashed on the shins of the rebellion. And by the way, that's a nice name for a video game: Shins of the Rebellion.
Shins of the Rebellion.
Yeah.
And it's like a full, it's like a first-person shooter, except your point of view is just like here from the floor to like about, like 2 feet above the floor. So you don't get like just below the kneecap. That's all you can see, and you're just going around. And you have to figure out who to kill and who to talk to.
Like cats. And
It's go fight
Loft
womp
cats.
rats, exactly. And the thing it could be is that you've got the Death Star plans in that little mouse droid. And I don't know, you got to get him to, someone even more evil. You're a bad guy in this game. Like,
okay.
you got the last copy of the Death Star plans. You got to get him. It's like you're a member of the Tarkin Initiative. That's how this could work.
There you go.
yeah.
All right.
Tarkin Brown brand mouse droids.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we're talking.
So Dio famously speaks in a very kind of stunted, hello, like short phrases and things like that. So I would love to hear him telling Poe all this telling Finn all this information, like that Oshi was a guy who would go to Exegol all the time, like because he really explains a lot of the there was a girl that he didn't want to kill her. Palpatine wanted to bring him back. Like I would love to hear a Dio explaining all this. It would take 20 minutes to get all that out of him.
Well, my son is a little bit in that stage because he's 5 and just kind of gets big idea about the story in his head that he wants to tell, and it'd be like, we went to the store, then we saw that. We went to the store and we saw like he'll like reset like mid sentence because he'll be like, all right, I got a better idea of what I'm trying to say here, and just kind of like it'll take him a couple times to get through, kind of. So sometimes, so it's got to be pretty similar with Dio. That I'm like, all right, just spit it out, son. Come on.
Is this the second? Look, I don't remember if we see Oshi. Do we see like Oshi in a flashback or something?
Yeah,
we see him in a flashback, and we see his skeleton in the tunnels underneath Pasana.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, this is sort of the second time in the Star Wars movies that there's like a evil Jedi who we don't see much of, but who's important to the plot. Because it's like, what was the other thing with like Sifo Dyas like had the cure to dying or something? Who had the cure to death? There was a bad guy that had the death cure.
That was Darth Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis, right?
Sifo Dyas is the one who commissioned the clone army and then never came to pick it up.
And then, but that Sifo. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I think that was a pseudonym. That was like a. They'll never guess my name is Sidious and not Sifo Dyas. It's like
I think originally it was, but then they made it that there was a Master Sifo.
Oh, right. It was a typo. It was going to be like Sido Dyas, and then like they're like, but they accidentally put Sifo Dyas, and then George Lucas was like, all right, let's just make him a different guy. Rather than recopying this page.
What's
50 cents worth of paper white, and the whole trilogy would have been different.
What's the name?
A minor correction.
Please.
I have to point it out. Ochi was not a Sith or a Jedi. He was kind of like a mercenary who kind of hung out with the Sith. So
he was a Jedi hunter. He was the Sith employed him to hunt down some of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know it's basically the same thing, but people at home were going to get mad if we didn't actually you.
No, thank you. No,
independent contractor.
It's important. I have one more question.
Has anyone ever done that? A parody of Love Actually called Actually, which is about nerds. Nerds.
And it's the
correct.
scene
Someone must have done that.
See with the cue cards. And it's like, actually, he was a freelancer. Right. He was a 1099 quote employee. We're not allowed to use that word.
Frankenstein was the name of the monster, not the monster. Frankenstein was the name of the doctor, etc. All sorts of things.
I have one more question. I'm so sorry. What was the name of the bad guy who wasn't Darth Maul? Who's that other Jedi played by the Dracula?
Count Dooku.
Count Dooku.
A.K.A. yes.
Sifo Dyas was not Count Dooku.
He was Darth Tyrannus.
Darth Tyrannus.
That was Dooku's name. He's the one who hired Jango Fett
on the moons of Bogdan.
So there's a Sifo Dyas and a Darth Plagueis, and we never see them, but they are important.
Yes.
It's weird.
Well,
I think we might have seen Sifo Dyas possibly in a flashback in the Clone War cartoons, but don't quote me on it.
Well, look, I'm sure there's a Sifo Dyas 5 novel novel cycle.
Totally, yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So it's Oshi guy.
Wait, we have one more important thing to cover in this minute as we're doing. First off, I have to say TIE Fighter. Because
Well, I was gonna say we got a lot to talk about with the TIE Fighter, Fighter stuff.
Yes.
Do we? Okay.
I do.
TIE Fighter was my only TIE Fighter note. I guess the rest of it kind of comes back in tomorrow a little bit. But what else? Talk about the TIE Fighter.
Well, Asterios, you have anything you want to go first as the guest?
Sure. Well, I just think this is a thing that is copied over that I 100% buy and love. It's like, okay, we all become generals. Whatever. Like, okay, we're trying to one-up each other. Okay, sure. But it's like a bad guy having their own custom TIE fighter is cool. Darth Vader's custom TIE I thought was super cool. Like, and I didn't know that this thing was called the TIE Whisper. That's a cool name.
TIE Whisper, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Twin Ion Engine Whisper. Thank you very much.
There you go. Wow.
We're making concessions to the AT-AT people, so we have to call it a TIE fighter.
I understand.
Well, so my first question is, we were saying, how did she light this on fire? Well, first is, did she crash it and jump out and just let it burn? Or did she land, get out, and then somehow light it on fire? Do we think she crashed it? How about let's start with that.
Well,
she's a great pilot. She knows her. So
she knows her Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, because I do have. I might be able to get some information from, of course, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker Expanded Edition novelization by New York Times bestselling author Ray Carson.
I think my guess is going to be, much to Rey's chagrin, the only way she was able to light it on fire was Force lightning.
Oh.
Which she had to use, even though she knows, it's evil, I shouldn't do it, but and burned it on fire. That's why she's so mad at it, because like she had to light it. Is she mad because she tried to killed Kylo Ren?
She's mad because she. Oh, look at that. This is actually in my notes for today. I wrote it real small near the bottom. I thought it was part of tomorrow.
Ah, suddenly the new notes showing up. I get it.
I've been handed an update. She is mad because she kind of failed. And
accidentally blew up her TIE fighter. She's stuck there now. She failed?
She failed. She would never put her friends in danger again. She's saying she's afraid of herself because of the whole, like, I'm a Palpatine. I made lightning. I can't control myself. Why are they following me? And the line that stuck with me is, belonging had been a fleeting fancy, and she was meant to be alone.
Oh, alone again. Naturally. Well, I do think it's interesting that she follows Luke's footsteps in that she attempts to kill Ben Solo and then is like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm going to go hide on Ahch-To and retire there. So it's a little bit of ring theory going on there. I like it.
Well, and that's intentional. She's like, I'll just do what Luke did. I'll use a word that don't mean nothing like Luke did.
She's mad because she tried to kill the guy that like killed everyone in the last movie.
Well, she's mad because she like lashed out.
She healed him in a second.
Yeah. She tried to undo. But this comes in, where is it? Yeah, it's actually the continue. I have a little bit for that for tomorrow. I can keep going with it in here, though. We'll use it for today, right? Or should we save it for tomorrow? Let's save it for tomorrow. I'll keep some more book notes for tomorrow.
Well, it's just it's just strange to me that, and obviously we can keep discussing, but it's like, so if she had like calmly and rationally tried to kill Kylo Ren, that would have been okay. It's just not okay to kill him in anger. If she had joyfully or gleefully stabbed him with that laser sword, that would have been cool. So she's more mad at herself for losing control. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All totally. Right, I get it.
And losing control, then, she's afraid that means she's going to go to the dark side, and based on her newly discovered heritage, she's going to go wild. And she had a vision, remember, of herself on the dark throne. So...
she had that vision of a much cooler her with a much cooler outfit and a super cool lightsaber.
Exactly.
That should be edgy.
I loved that. Oh my God. That was like my favorite thing from the trailer. I was like, there's a cool dark Rey and she's got like a weird double single saber thingy. I like this.
Yeah.
If you recall, in The Last Jedi, we learned that the caretakers of the island were not crazy about Rey. She blew a hole in the wall and did other things. And now she's burning a TIE fighter right there on the island. Like, you couldn't have just pushed it into the sea, huh? You had to actually burn it here right in the middle of the village, right?
Let me...
not going to endear her to those frog nuns, I'll tell you that much.
That'll come back later in the week. I've got notes on that, too. So
fair enough.
This isn't even the only property damage she does on her second trip. Remember, she also like up Luke's house or something. I don't know, whatever. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of things.
Save it.
But one thing, the elephant in the room here, of course, that we have one important aspect of this minute that we have not yet discussed is we see porgs.
I know.
Porgs.
I know. Oh my God. It's the only time we see them in the movie.
Yeah.
And as
the only time they acknowledge The Last Jedi in the entire film.
It's the one. And then a little J.J. Abrams pops up in the corner. He's like, I do like these guys. You guys can. I won't try to undo you little creatures. No, this was my fiance Sarancha, who was a previous guest on this show. This was the only time she like perked up in the whole like Last Skywalker.
She's just sitting there all sullen the whole time, and then suddenly, oh, those are going to be porgs in the rest of the movie. Oh,
No.
And then
very-
yes, that's the thing. It's like, they're more than just an indication of what planet you're on, right? They're like adorable little guys that like have their own little world and hopes and dreams, and they got little flippers. They're naturally strong swimmers who love to eat fish. Like the boys have orange fur and the girls have like more of a black fur. They love blue wires. They make little nests and they cuddle all day. It's like, dude,
you know a lot about porgs.
I love them so much. Like the idea that it's like you could have had just an old fashioned like Chuck Jones cartoon wooden sign that says like Ahch-To. But instead,
Right.
you're like, the porgs, they tell you what planet it's on. It's like, they deserve more than that. They're more than like a semiotic signifier of location.
That's the name of the episode right there. Semiotics will
I'm
location.
still stuck on Pip issue. I think that's where we're going. Well, I think the porgs here are like, they're almost like, when you see like a on other planets, you see a ship crash or a droid or something, and the Jawas are sitting there licking their chops, assuming they have chops. Here, the porgs are just like, there's going to be some good wires left over when this thing's done, huh? All right, let's.
They can smell the wires.
They're scouting it out. It's like there's like the porg foreman, inventor of that grill, that low fat.
And his 7 children named Porg.
Exactly.
Porg Foreman has to be the title now.
No, it might be. But the porg foreman gets there and he's just like, all right, this is going to be what we're going to do. We're going to build it. It's going to be level 3 here. We're going to put 6 nests along that, like looking at the different spots in the burning TIE fighter and just planning out what this is basically like giving them, it's like when they dump the old subway cars in the river to make new like coral reefs for the natural wildlife of the river, the sea life. This is the same thing. They're like, the porgs are like, oh my God, this is going to be the best.
love a good twin ion engine nest.
Yeah.
You're absolutely f***ing right. This is like primo nesting material. This is like they found a chunk of solid gold or like a big diamond. Because, there are birds that they live in like condos together. Like when I go out to Joshua Tree, I forget these birds. They're like the swallows or they got all these little dilly boppers on the front of their heads, and they all live in like these bird condos, and I'm always like, oh, that's so cool. And then at night, they all sleep together in a big cuddle puddle. That's what real birds do. Space birds are gonna do that too. Oh my God, you're right. They'll be so well protected from predators in this like burnt out hunk of a thing. Like they'll be able to like burrow down deep, so like I don't know, Minox can't get them. Oh, they're going to have a wonderful time hanging out with the potential corpse of Kylo Ren.
Now I'm disappointed we didn't see Minox in this film. But this is the only film where we have both Ewoks and Porgs in the same film. So at the very least, that is an accomplishment of the film.
I don't remember this.
True.
Wait, is there like a quick scene at the end where like we cut back to either Ewoks and
Yes.
they're like, we're celebrating again? Really?
Yes.
No, are you kidding me?
No, and it's Wicket, and I believe isn't it Warwick Davis's daughter playing the other?
Oh, could be.
I thought she was somehow
we haven't
involved
gotten
in-
there yet, so I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll save it for.
They know what's happening on galactic scale politics.
Yeah. They had a quick, harsh education once their planet was infested by humans.
Oh my.
Right.
No, you're right. It's kind of like we no longer have the luxury of indifference to galactic politics. Now that it's reached home, all of a sudden, like all these Ewoks can't be grill-pilled anymore. No, very good point.
Should we talk about Ghost Hand or save that for tomorrow?
I say let's save it for tomorrow. Let's just make a note, Ghost Hand.
Ghost Hand.
Ghost Hand.
Because
I'll
it
move it
starts
in my,
tomorrow starts with Ghost Hand. Right.
Tomorrow starts with Ghost Hand. It's like my coffee brand. Anyway, tomorrow starts with Ghost Hand. Anything else for this particular to this minute?
I did one last note about Dio's name. In much like in the irritating way that all the other droids' names are spelled out phonetically, D-O is spelled D-E-E-O-H.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a Homer Simpson reference, you think? D''O''H? Anyway.
Well, in the script, his name is Annoyed Grunt in the script.
Yeah, so. All right, I guess that will wrap up minute number 91. Some Porg fun, and we have some more Ahch-To fun tomorrow. But if you want to have some fun, go to our merch store, StarWarsMinute.com/merch. There you can get all sorts of cool stuff. You can get this cool Sgt. Pepper tapestry that I have behind me. And you can get stuff on... there's a Porg on there somewhere. Where is it? I don't remember. It's off camera. Can't see it from this angle. But if you go to StarWarsMinute.com/merch, you can see for yourself and see how many characters you can identify. And then come back tomorrow to identify us on another Star Wars Minute.